A very good morning and a warm welcome to you all for the third day of the Integrated Design Research Design Code 2022. It is truly exciting to see all of you passionate creators under one roof where we all are eagerly trying to share knowledge and design practices among this enthusiastic community. So, sit tight and await yet another day filled with knowledge and experience. Now, let us open the floor for the much awaited UI UX challenge with a brief introduction about today's proceedings.
The Sri Lanka Design Code 2022 UX Design Workshop aims to educate young UX enthusiasts from all around Sri Lanka on user experience design from industry experts. The workshop today is broken into two segments. The morning session features 3 guest speakers who will be sharing their knowledge on various topics covering UI UX design. The afternoon session is a UX design competition in which participants are pushed to solve a problem using their knowledge and creative thinking. Participants are judged in 3 stages: design thinking, wireframing, and pitching.
So, without further ado, to start off this session, we have our first speaker for the day, Ms. Vanodya Oshadi, UX designer at IFS, to enlighten the gathering on the topic, what is UI UX design, its origin and evaluation, and why it matters. With a round of applause, let's welcome her on stage.
Okay, so good morning everyone. So thank you for the introduction. It's so nice to see a full house of UI people who are interested to listen about UI and UX design. So I know, like, after COVID and everything, it's really great to see a lot of enthusiasts in this room to learn in a physical meeting today. So let me give you a brief introduction to me. So who am I? I'm an UX designer with around 3 to 4 years of experience. I am currently working at IFS. So what is my journey as a UX designer? So just like y'all, after my final, during my 3rd year, I had my internship. So this is where I wanted to decide, okay, where I should start my career in. Of course, I studied at IIT. I started my career as a business consultant and virtuosa. So after the internship, I realized that, okay, this is not the way I wanted to go to. So I started self-learning on user experience design during my final year. Then, after that, so I joined Root Code Labs as an associate UI UX designer. And then now I'm currently working as a UX designer at IFS. So this is how my journey, how it has been. So the message to you all is, if you have passion, you can get into UX design. So let's see what UX design is. Before I jump in to what UX design is, let me give you a brief intro about what are my key moments in my career. So I have worked at a startup environment for designing and leading the design stages for mobile applications, web designing, likewise. So These products that I have designed for have also got awarded in things such as in BQSA, Product Hunt. So it has been a very journey that I have grown through a number of years. So, okay. So as the organizer just suggested, this is what I am going to present to you or talk to you all today. So I'm going to give you an introduction to what is UX and the difference between UX and UI, and what is usability, and key resources for you to take away. Okay, so now let's see. So if you take the user's needs are changing. So if you remember a few years back, you might also have wanted to get like an Apple iPod, right? But now, currently, do you really want to get an iPod? I also had ideally wanted to get an Apple iPod back in the days. But now, earlier days, I didn't have the cash, you know, to get like something like luxury as of this. But right now, do we even have a need for this? So this is why I'm telling why the user's needs are changing. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so now we know the user's needs are changing. So what about customers? The customers these days, when you go to the industry, when you start working, you will realize that they have a lot of ideas that they wanted to get into board. They might say, okay, I want the design to look like Apple. I want the design to look like Microsoft. This is what the customers would tell you. So, should we do all the things what the customers ask? The customer and the end user is different. So we need to make sure when we are designing anything, a product, a hardware product or a software design, we need to satisfy our end users, right? So we need to make our users love the products that we design. So how do we do this now? We want to make sure that our users love the products that we design. So what is user experience? So do you see this UI equal UX, right? Is this correct? So watch what happens. So I'm going to show a video where it shows why we need to focus on UI without UX design. Like why should we focus on the UX without the UI.
Well, I came across this in a hotel in Stockholm, Sweden. They had a whole big slide for us to put our breakfast in there, and so I made a mistake. Put my breakfast cereal in it. So I poured the cereal into the bowl, and then I added some milk.
And you said you had trouble with this. And it looks to me like it's a pretty straightforward bowl. So what's the story?
Well, I came across this at a hotel in Stockholm, Sweden. They had a whole big stack of them jumbled up for us to put our breakfast cereal in, and so I made the mistake of putting my breakfast cereal in it. I poured the cereal into the bowl, and then I added some milk, and I do like my milk, so...
all the way up to the rim.
Yeah, because that's just the way I like it, and then I put it down on the table.
Ah!
Now that does not require a warning notice, that requires a redesign.
So the conceptual model of a bowl is that it's flat
Yes.
and horizontal.
And that's what people
And as long as you're
expect.
holding it this way, it looks like it is, right?
Yes, and particularly the way it was jumbled one bowl on top of the other. Now what it was intended for was to make a nice presentation for having the chef fill this bowl and then a waiter bring it out to your table. So they pressed it into a different service.
So wait a minute, you found this in a hotel in Sweden.
Yes.
Now, how do you have it in your home in California?
I bought it from them.
Oh, you
and
bought it.
They didn't want to sell it to me, and I insisted upon it.
Do you do this often, spill it in front of guests, or you show it?
No. My wife does not allow me to do that very often at all, and I see it's continuing to pour.
I can see why she doesn't allow.
Yeah,
right.
so I think I'll be cleaning it up now.
Okay, so what do you have thoughts about it? So this is a good example on what happens when you focus on the UI, the design, without the UX, right? Okay.
Oh. And
Okay, so in the left side you saw a person, right? Who is it? He is Dr. Donald Norman. He is also considered the father of UX. He's a cognitive science researcher who was also the first person to describe what human-centered design means. So back in the days, how did we design? We designed just for ourselves. We thought, okay, so if aesthetics is good, that is good design. But there was no science or anything, or like any design decisions or anything like that. We just designed it because we thought the aesthetics was good. So people thought designers were actually magicians who would design the user interface. But after some time, the user-friendliness term came into play. So, what is user experience? So, actually is, it's designing for people. And by understanding the surroundings and the human behavior. Also, it's about how a person would feel and interact with a system or a product. So what is this surrounding means? That's a very interesting one. It could be the daytime, nighttime, maybe you are working at an office, going in the train. So depending on the surrounding, where you are, you would understand it, and based on that, as well as the human behavior, you would design the experience. So just to recap, so what is user experience? User experience has different aspects. It could be usability, human factors, designing, HCI. So user experience is how our end users would interact with and experience our products. And also, we need to create empathy to make sure that we design a good, delightful user experience. The good UX is also something where it is very easy and understandable for the user to use that particular product. Okay, so anyone has seen this particular image? Raise your hands. Okay, nice. So UX and UI, those are two different things. So what is UI? For UI, we would focus on the visual design, the colors, the graphics, the design layouts, the typography. And for the UX, we would focus on the interaction design. For example, when you press a particular button, what would happen next? And wireframes, information architecture, and another important thing is user research. That is one of the important things. That is where we talk to the end users, understand their problems, and also test the particular solutions and scenarios. So can we design anything without users? That is actually very hard. To design something, we always need to interact with end users. Okay, so I wanted to get an idea. How many of you would go through Dribble or like Behance to get inspiration? Raise your hands. I also, of course, did this, look into Dribble and Behance. So what is the problem here? Should we get inspiration from Dribble? So in Dribble, you get beautiful designs, which are mainly focused on UI, not UX. So some of the designs are actually not practical designs that you can actually develop. So as a UX designer, when you see any design, you should be able to distinguish between what is a good design versus a bad design. For example, now let's say the design that you have on the left, yeah, so the design that you have on the left, you see a mobile screen, right? So maybe for a consumer application it might work. But imagine you are designing for an enterprise application where the users are actually very busy and their main focus is on completing a particular task every day. So if you take the particular UI, half of the UI, the top section, is actually taking the main focus of the user's attention, right? So when this context or the screen might not work for an enterprise application or depending on the user. So we need to be careful. So when we are selecting a design or like design decisions or like when we are looking at designs, these are the things that we need to observe. And on the design on the right side, so this design, if you take for an example the bottom bar, have you ever seen any application with a bottom bar like this? Raise your hands. But we go and design, right? Even when I was in my first year, I just went and designed a mobile application which looked like this. So it's okay. So the bottom bar, if you take, there is no currently an application. Why? Because it takes a lot of time for the developers to go and develop it. So if you show this design to a developer, they might get a mini heart attack. So why the problem is, there are some apps, for example, Apple, if you take the photo, in there you can simply select the radius and everything. So that is only one scenario that I have lightly seen on a design like this. When you are designing for a mobile app, there's something called Apple Human Interface Guidelines. So you can actually read those about them. There are like guidelines which helps you to design mobile app lines with the best industry practices as well. So when you, next time, when you go through the design inspiration, see how you can distinguish between good design versus bad design. Okay. So today and the last week, I was scrolling through my LinkedIn, right? And the Facebook groups. What I can't understand is this. Has anyone of you seen something like this? Compare design A versus design B. Okay, what is the problem that we have here? Anyone? Does anyone have any idea what's the problem that we have in this design? Any volunteers? Come on, it's Saturday. Who's brave enough? Okay. Anyone? Yes. Okay, sure. So the problem that we have in this particular design is when you show this design, like let's say I'm also in LinkedIn, right? When you design an application or a mobile app or anything like that, you design it for a particular user. So is your target audience also in that particular platform? So let's say if I give a feedback for a design like this, I might be giving a biased design suggestion, which might not actually work for our end users. So we need to test our designs with our end users to make sure that we design a great design. Okay, now it's a very interesting question. What's your dream? So I know that in University of Moratuwa there are different faculties and everything. So who at one day, I want you guys to raise your hands. I want to know how my audience is also. Who wants to design for a physical product, like a product like Apple? I'm going to design something like Apple one day, like an Apple TV, or it could be even a ceramic pot, or it could be a poster, architecture, a building. Can you raise your hand? Do we have anyone who thinks, yes, great, nice, okay. So how about designing for software? Is that one of your dreams? Can you raise your hands? Nice, great, okay. So let me show you something interesting. So this slide is for the people who, whether you are designing for a physical product, an environment, or for a software design, we need to ensure that we improve the usability of the particular product. So what is usability? Usability is made up of 5 core qualities. It is about how easily a user can accomplish their goal with an interface. So this is the first usability core quality, learnability. So it's about how quickly the user can learn and understand the interface. So you see this door, right? In here it says the pull sign. But if we have actually had the handle, you automatically know that you can pull it, right? But now the user is confused whether should I push it or should I pull it. But if you remove the sign pull, you automatically know that you can pull it. So this is how the interface or how the product would make it easily for us to understand and learn. Next, efficiency. So it's about how easily the user can learn a particular product. So this is one of the images from one of the lists back in the days. So if you go to a particular lift for this floor, how do you find the 19th floor that you want to go to? So now you are thinking, okay, is this button working? Or is this like this floor is not working, you can't go to it? Or what's the problem? It's the design is not consistent. So, and there are a lot of problems that we usually will be thinking about. So efficiency is how the design can help to complete their task easily. And memorability. So this is a kettle, right? Does this look like a regular kettle? Where is the handle? So memorability. So when we are using day-to-day products, that is one of the reasons why the kettle is designed in such a way that the users can easily learn how to use that particular product. So it's, the laptop is the same way as of how it would be even for 5 years. The user would be easily be able to understand by recalling. And next, we have errors. This is something very important. Okay, so what's up? You do, like let's say, you sent a message to a wrong person. Now what do? Earlier days, we didn't have any option to delete it, right? Now we have the option to delete the messages also. So this is how the design, like when we are designing something, we need to show like what are the errors that are there and how the user can easily recover from the error. Next, we have satisfaction. Okay, so do you know what this is? This is the next thermostat. Earlier days, this thermostat would look like what is on the left. So it has switches and buttons and everything. So how the design has been improved is they have taken into consideration affordances. For example, if you don't have to press a particular switch or a button, now with the new one, you can just like, for example, in the fans or the radios and everything, you can turn and change the temperatures and everything, right? So the same human interaction has been used in such a way to make minimalistic, useful, delightful design experiences. So that is about usability. So now you must be wondering, okay, how do I improve usability or validate the interactions in a particular product? So how do you do it? You can conduct user testing. These are some images from doing user testing. And another, so user testing, you can do it with users. And also I think we have another session, so during that we can learn more about that. And also conducting the heuristic evaluation. So let's say if you don't have end users or you are not sure, you can use a checklist which is called the heuristic evaluation to evaluate whether your product is usable. Okay, interesting question. Can we make 100% perfect UX? We know what is UX and UI. We know usability, and there are a lot of principles and everything. Is this possible? Anyone? Like, hi, okay. From the audience, who thinks that we can design the UX perfectly? Raise your hands. Anyone? Okay, great. Okay, so next I'm doing a small activity. Let's see why I am telling this. So for this activity, we are going to design the next, let's imagine we are going to design for the next gen smart glass. So I want actually 5 users who are wearing specs. Yes. Okay, no worries. Let me, yeah, so if there's like, you don't have to come to the stage. If you can just, you know, from wherever you are, like, if like 5 people could like stand up. So we need to demonstrate. So, yeah. Come on. Okay, nice. 1, 2. If someone can stand from that side, okay. Sure, great. Okay, that's enough. Good. So now let's see. We are trying to design a smart glass, right? So in this particular screen, you can see the 1015 Tuesday, May 9 is shown in the glass. Imagine when you are designing the experience, we also need to think about, okay, at which point the user is actually removing the glass so that we can save the battery. Like at which point how we can put the device to stand off, standby mode, like switch off. These are the things that we need to think about. So now let's see. Okay, I'm going to give a small task. Don't think there's no right or wrong way. So you all can just observe how they are actually removing their glass. So if you all can just remove your glass this way, the usual way that you do. Okay. Thank you. So if you saw clearly, some people, how they remove the glass is something like this, like with both hands. Some remove the glass like this, right? So imagine, like there's a requirement like this where we need to make sure that we save the battery and everything. So where do we place the sensors, right? Like for example, how do we get the hand pressure and everything? So these are very interesting things. So for the developers or the development teams to decide on that, We need to understand and see how the users are actually using the product. This is why we need to talk to the end users. This is something really important that we should do. Okay, thank you so much. You can sit. So in this particular example, we realized how the human behavior is different from one person to another. So designing something perfect is really very difficult. So user experience design would not work in every situation for every user because the human minds are different. What works for one person might not work for the other. Design would be a failure if we do not understand the user's mental models, how the user's brain works. That is something about user experience. So, and just as we can't design a user experience, also another interesting thing. So you might even go through these computer applications and think, okay, so this notifications is there. So let me just copy it into one of my designs. Maybe it would work for my designs. Will this work? So good example is Twitter and Telegram and WhatsApp. So WhatsApp, last year or 2 years back, we had this issue where the data confidentiality kind of issues, right? Like leakage and everything. So we thought that we should stop using WhatsApp and like download Telegram. So how many of you actually downloaded Telegram? I'm also like part of it. So anyone who downloaded Telegram? Great. Okay. So the features are actually similar. But are the users using Telegram? What is the problem? That is why we need to understand the users, how the human brain works. UX is a very vast thing. So user experience, so the knowledge required by the UX designer is actually very vast. So it is absolutely necessary that we learn about the user principles, read up and also learn about how the brain works. That is something very curious. I mean, if we had the ability to read others' mind, will there be a need for the UX designer role? No, right? So even one day, you all might leave the university as well. So even when you leave the university, your learning will never stop. UX is a topic which you cannot stop learning. So these are some of the areas where you can learn more in future, because this is something that will help you throughout your career, whether you are a product designer, UX designer, graphic designer, anything. It's really important that we learn these different principles. For example, human factors, cognitive science, mental models, user psychology. So these are some really great things that you should read up on. So how do we learn about these different things? When I was self-learning, I call myself self-learner. So there are different resources in the internet as well. Some are like Nielsen Norman, Interaction Design Foundation. So if by any chance anyone wants to do the Interaction Design Foundation, reach out to me. I will have I think I have a discount as well. So I can give it to you all. And we have the Google UX Design Certification, different newsletters. Even in Instagram, you have different very good UX people. For example, Amphisign. I still love how she designs the process, and there are like AR, VR designers. It's really good that we even use platforms like Instagram to follow your role models. And another good thing is that even in Sri Lanka, Rasika Mahinda Siddhi, he's a UX architect at 99X. He has written a book called How to Be a tier 1 UX designer, I would really recommend you all to read this book. It's simple language in Sinhala. So I know everyone is in Sinhala. So yeah, and the last point is finding a mentor. So some of the you are to review your portfolio, get interview advice. So let's say you want to look into other countries and different opportunities that are available. So and learn like what is how their processes is. You can just have a chat with them. You can just schedule a time. They are really nice people. So I would highly recommend that you do at least one session. You will learn where their field is. So yes, okay. So are you ready to improve UX? So today is Saturday, we have a workshop. So I hope that you take all the things like how I told about the difference between UX and resources and how we can empathize more with our users to design products that people love. Okay, so now I'm open to questions. Do you all have any questions? Anyone? No questions. Okay, even if you have any questions, because I know that UX designers are introverts and extroverts both, so it's okay. At maybe after the event, even after lunch time, you can just come and like talk to me, and like if you have any questions around it. So yeah, but before that, do you have any question? Okay. Okay, great. So then let me wrap up my presentation. Thank you.
Truly amazing to have learned so much about such an interesting and vast topic in such an engrossing way. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together once again for Ms. Vanodaya Oshadi for that amazing session. Moving on, being a UX designer surely involves a lot of hard work and challenges. As young designers who are interested in this field, we have questions in our minds such as, what is the process of becoming a UX designer? What are the qualifications we need? What are the barriers and the opportunities we have in this particular field, and so on. These questions can best be answered by a UX designer herself. So let's welcome on stage Ms. Harshini Gajanayaka, the Senior UX Engineer at WSO2 and also a visiting lecturer at NIBM University, to enlighten the gathering about being a UX designer in Sri Lanka.
Okay, good morning all. So I think now you got a lot of information about that, what is UX, right? Right? Yes? Okay. So how many students follow that IT or computer science degree in here? Please raise your hand. Okay, cool. Design? All right. Any other degree? Okay, cool. Right. Today, now you are going to learn about that, to know about that, being a US designer in Sri Lanka, right? It's a dream, right? Be a UX designer, right? Okay. I'm Harshani, and a visiting lecturer in NIB University and a senior UX engineer at WSO2. You can contact me via that email, LinkedIn, any kind of platforms. And I'm also a graduate from the University of Moratuwa in IT. I follow that IT degree. Okay. All right. Today I will cover that. What does UX designer do? What is the UX job market for UX designer? So what is the job market for UX designer? Different job role in UX. Average design salary by country and the company. And what should you do if you want to carry in UX? But I think this one is covered by Oshadi. But how to build an MSc UX design portfolio and how to be prepared for an interview and the myths about that UI UX, right? Okay, what does the UX designer do? Mainly, UX design role make product or services, right? So as Oshadi mentioned, you need to know about that. You need to give that usable, enjoyable, accessible product or services to user, right? And the UX designer, he or she mainly bridge gap between that software engineers, stakeholders, and end user as well, right? The another one is important part. They complex problem, they given that good intuitive solutions. Intuitive, right? Not basic solutions. They given them some kind of innovative, intuitive solution to the user, right? That's the important part of the UX role. Okay, there's a lot of information, right? But she covered about that, those kind of things, but I will recap about UX designer roles and responsibilities. First, you need to understand your end user and the customer as well, right? And the brand. End user and customer are two different roles, right? End user කියන කෙනයි customer කියන කෙනයි දෙන්නේ එක්කෙනෙ නෙවෙයි ඒක පටල ගන්න එපා. So you need to think about that, what is the brand as well, right? What kind of application, what kind of product we deliver to the user, right? As example, when you are going to design for an application for a healthcare, you need to consider about that, who are the users about that application, right? Mainly doctors, patients, right? Patients ලා නම් දන්නවනේ ගොඩක් disabilities තියෙනවා. එතකොට චූටි අකුරු තියෙන ඒවා can't read, right? So you need to consider about that, what kind of colors we use, right? Brand. And then if you use that red color, what happened? Red කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍ය dangerous color එකක්, right? Error, right? We give it some kind of calm colors. That's why the hospital also blue and green, right? You get the information. You get the information and data from the environment as well. Get those and apply to your product, right? අල interior design කරනවා වගේම එකක් use කරන්න මේකට. එතකොට දෙකම balance වෙ යන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ same theory but two different things. Conducting user research, you need to do user researching, but in third session you can learn about that. How should you do that user research, right? Well, දෙයක් කරන්නේ for a user method have, right? You can analyze those kind of things and design. Mainly, UX design role do some designs as you work to a client and user, right? Those are the steps about that, steps and responsibilities about that user UX role. Clear? Okay, cool. Okay, skills. Mainly, when you go to the workplace, you need to consider about that. You need communication skill because you are in the first stage of the product. It means that you need to get the requirement from the clients, stakeholders, right? So you need to engage with the users. You need to communicate it, right? Communicate kare natham baha karanna ugul, right? Communication skills required. Empathy. You need to empathize your end user, right? You need to empathize with your customer, right? When you do some kind of project, product, service, any kind of things, you need to empathize them, right? ඔයාට තරහ යනවා නම් බෑ වැඩි කරන්න. මේක ගොඩක් empathize කරලා හරි කාම්බ කරන්න ඕන රස්සාවක්. And practical subject, right? It's practical. ඔයාට කේන්ති යනවා නම් ගහ ගන්නවා මරා ගන්නවා නම් බෑ කරන්න, right? එහෙම තියෙනවා නම් ඒක අඩු කරගන්න meditation කරලා. Collaboration skills. You need to collaborate with stakeholders, software engineers, and the business analysts, and everyone, right? And critical thinking, very important part. Some people, some students think about that, okay, I can't do designs, so I can't be UX design, that kind of things, they happen, right? They think. No, you can. If you have that good mind of that thinking, you think that out of the box, you can be a UX designer. You give the solution to them, right? All of the research project, you need to do research and give the best solutions for them. Critical thinking is very important, and ability to learn by yourself. Every day, as Oshadi mentioned, that UI UX is not easy thing, right? Every day you need to learn some kind of things, right? That's why market also change by day to day, right? Get the example, Nokia and Samsung. What happened to Nokia? They didn't change, then they lost, right? That's in the past years, the Nokia phone is the marvelous product, right? A 1100 phone, right? That's everyone like that kind of phones. But right now, Samsung, Apple rise up that more than the Nokia, right? That's why you need to learn something, and you need to give that new solution to market, right? That's why Apple and Samsung, those companies, competitive each other. Every year, they're given the good, not actually, they're given the best solution to the market, right? Apple 14, Apple 15, Apple 16, that kind of things. But Apple users buy that, right? Body changes Samsung, they also like that, right? Samsungs, I know that they given a lot of solutions. They do a lot of researches. Google also, they do a lot of researches. That's why that companies are in the best in the world, right? Every day you need to give the solution with researching, right? And they also learn some kind of new thing about the users as well. And enthusiasm to new technology. The AR, VR කියනේව දැන් අලුතෙන් ඇවිත් තියෙන්නේ. Like that, right? ඒ කියන්නේ past එකයි දැන් තියෙන situation එකයි බලන්න. That users also like to be do some kind of things easily, right? Our life is busy right now, right? ඔයාලා කැමතිද ගොඩාක් කම්ප්ලෙක්ස් කරගෙන වැඩ කරන්න? No, right? ඔයාලට මොකක් හරි ළඟට ගෙනල්ලා කෑම කවන මැෂින් එකක් එහෙම තියෙනවා like නේ කැමති නේ වගේ තමයි, right? Curiosity and passion. Curiosity එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ අනිවාර්යෙන්. And passion. UX design කෙනෙක් වෙන්න නම් you need passion, right? මේකට passion එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ boring කරගන්න එපා ඔයාගේ life එක UX design කෙනෙක් වෙන්න නම්, right? You need a good passion about that, be a UX designer, and eye for detail. You need to consider about the in details about the product, right? හැම චූටි error එකක් ගැන එහෙම ඔයාලා හිතන්න ඕනේ. That's why we see that usability testing as well, right? In details යන්න ඕනේ හැමදේම. Then you can get the good solutions. As example, that Google, they create that eyeglass, right? As he mentioned, they create the glass, the smart glass, but it's failed because, as he now showed that in the practically, some kind of people like this, right? They remove that kind of way. But what's happened? We essentially we use that the glass to see something, right? If they add some kind of time and all kind of things, what happened? We can't see, right? That's glass use කරන I දන්නවා කොහොමද කියලා, right? Without glass, what happened? All things are blurry, can't see anything, right? Right. So, and I for detail. In details යන්න ඕන හැම දෙයක් ගැනම. Technical skills. Research, very important. You need to do research every day. And information architecture. Information architecture means, as an example, we got that e-commerce application, right? In the home page, you saw that in the search bar and the filtrations and the products, those kind of things, right? So those are structured, right? Information architecture is mean that organize the all information in the product or service, whatever, application or something. And wireframing, you need to wireframe that product, is mean that design and sketching those kind of things, and prototyping as well, right? Those are the technical skills you need to learn about that, know about the technical for a UX designer. Okay, it's important. Skill required to become a UI UX engineer, right? In here I changed the name, UI UX engineer. You can see that UX design skills. In here I then add all UX design skills. UI design principles and guidelines you need to know. And UX research and interviewing, studying, those kind of things that are covered by the first. Now you know about that, what is that UX design skills. Then you can be a UI UX engineer if you like. Then what should you do? You need to bring the front-end engineering, front-end skill for be an engineer, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, those are the basic knowledge about that, the styling and the creating any kind of website or some kind of things. And semantic HTML and accessibility, CSS frameworks, responsive design. Responsive design means, I think that design students maybe don't know about that. This responsive design means that when you create the web application, it can use in the mobile as well, right? When you can use the media query and that responsive the any kind of devices, it means mobile, tab or web, all things, right? JavaScript framework, design system and version control. Design system. The design system is very important. Design system means that when you using React.js, AngularJS or some kind of technology for create the product, develop the product, you need to get the design systems as well. So it means that material UI and frameworks, right? Those are the bootstrap. Those are design systems. I will tell you later. Confuse karaganna epa, right? Those that design students, do you like to be a UI UX engineer? You need to know about those skills as well, right? You need to know about that. What is that HTML, CSS, JavaScript? You can learn easily because you already have the design skills, right? Engineering students, you need to develop your design skills more than the front-end skills, right? Okay, type of UX designer jobs. Associate the UX, there has UX designer, interaction designer, product designer, service designer, customer designer, like that, right? Customer experience designer. So all kind of job roles is related to the UX. And you can see when you create, go to the LinkedIn or any kind of job-related platform, there has, we are looking for a UI UX designer, interaction designer, visual designer, that kind of lot of job roles, right? Those are related into the UX. And my recommendation is that when you start your journey, be a UX designer, go to the small companies, mean that stable startup or mid-level company, because you can get lot of information, lot of knowledge, lot of experience with that kind of companies, right? Alta godak informations ganna pula, you can work cross-functional teams, and then you can get any multi-different projects as well, right? You can get the more experience and do lot of things, right? But if you target only the large company, some moments you only in the one team, then you do same thing in the everyday, right? Then your job role will be boring, right? The boring කරගන්න එපා ඔයාගේ job එක. ඒක interest කරගන්න ඕන. යන්න ඔයාගේ fresher කෙනෙක් විදියට යන්න stable some stable company. Not every company, most probably in the software company, they given that same kind of things to the UX designer who are in the team, right? hari reality tama walta ani projects wala වැඩ කරන්න හම්බෙන්නේ. Then you can specialize into the product and be a product owner, product manager as well, right? එකයි මම කිව්වේ small company කියන්නේ small company එකකට ගිහිල්ලා ගොඩක් ලොකු level එකකට යන්න පුළුවන් because you have the wide area of the knowledge, right? අට ගොඩක් knowledge එක එනවා ගොඩක් companies වල වැඩ කරාම, right? What is the job market for a UX designer? Everyone have that kind of question, right? කොහොමද job market එක කොහොමද ලංකාවේ? අපිට job එකක් හම්බ වෙයිද, right? ප්‍රශ්නනේ නේද? සල්ලි කොච්චරක් හම්බ වෙයිද, right? Okay. Career path of the UI UX and job market. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, US researcher. Mainly US researcher doing some actually they given the solution. They create the research, right? They done research and they create the solution for a product, right? UX designer, you need to do UX and UI and development as well. That's why the UI UX engineer, right? UI engineer, user interaction designer. You need to create that interactive design. That's also similar to UI UX design role. Visual design also similar to UI designer. Motion designer. Motion designer means that when you have the good ability to create motions, animations, you can be a motion designer. Mainly I saw that motion designer job roles in gaming companies, right? Gaming companies will go to motion design roles, you can see, right? Product designer. Product designer means that it's different than the UX designer, right? Because in Sri Lanka, we have a lot of UI, US related jobs. This means that you need to create some application designs. But product is different than the screen designs, right? Okay. Apple phone is a product, right? Apple phone is a product, right? So product design is that he or she need to create the product design, right? Not even that application, is mean the apps or system or some kind of things. They need to create that product. UX writer. In Sri Lanka, we can't see UX writer job role. I didn't see any kind of UX writer job role in Sri Lanka, but in the abroad you can see. UX writer means that copywritings. This means, when you add the button, right, sign in or log in, that kind of words, wording. So UX writer mainly doing that wording. That role is structured the content. It means that not a content writer, right? It means that structured topic, subtopic, and what kind of description we should add to our application, right? Those are the things. Labeling, those kind of things, doing by UX writer. Product owner. Product owner and the product manager. Those are high-level job role. After you get the more experience in the UX design, you can be a product owner, product manager. Product owner, that job role has a responsibility that he or she is the owner of the product, right? That managing the all product things is not managing. Get the requirements and the allocating all product requirements to this designer and the developer as well, right? Product manager is doing that, get the business to the company and then create the all structure and processes in the role, in that role. UX consultant is mainly, I saw that UX consultant job roles in Sri Lanka. It's outside of the company, but right now it's full time. They hire the UX consultants, given that it means that given the solution for the application, right? You can one hari error එකක් තියෙනවද කියලා බලලා ඒවට solutions දෙන්නේ ඒ වගේ role එක. But that in Sri Lanka it's common in the UI UX design, right? But in the other countries they specialize that what is the role is the UX consultant, right? The thing is, in Sri Lanka I saw that a lot of companies is that abuse the title, right? Be careful when you apply to the UX designer or UI designer. Be careful, read all description, what kind of job role, what is the company, right? What kind of responsibility do I have, right? Please read those kind of in detail. Otherwise, after you got the job, you will do everything, right? For some kind of is a full stack developer, right? That kind of things happen. Please be carefully read all information, right? And game creative design and information architect, those are game creative designer is not related to actually in the UX, but we get some theoretical and practical things in the game creation design as well. You can get this job title in the gaming company, right? Okay, technical career progress. If you like to move into the technically, it means that you are engineer, UX engineer. As I mentioned, you need to bring HTML, CSS, JS, that's kind of technology and the front-end knowledge as well. But if you are good at for managing, product designing, those kind of things, you can be a product owner, product manager, right? You can give the good solution, right? So in the managerial level as well. Okay. Career path of the UI UX. In here, I mentioned that the difference between the product companies and software companies, right? You can be promoted in the software companies like associate UI UX engineer, UI UX engineer, senior UI engineer, associate lead, and senior lead, associate architect. Likewise, you can promote it. But in the product-based company, you can be a UX designer, senior UX designer, or product designer, a UX lead, UX architect, head of UX, vice president of product, president of product, chief president of product. Those kind of job role in the product-based company. Those are the difference between the software companies and the product-based company, right? Okay, average salary. Very important, right? The UX designer right? It depends, right? Basically, I got this stat from Glassdoor, some kind of web site, but average, it means that average basic salary, right? Average, right? It's 75,000 per month is average. Be a UX fresher, UX designer. Right now, most of the Sri Lankan companies given that pegging, right? The pegging system then you can get a bonus and those kind of things, and mainly 1 lakh you can gain. But it's really depend on the company and your skills as well, right? Or pitch karne vidiyata oya skills anu is depend, right? But at least you can get 1 lakh, right? Okay, then US design service by countries. Some students would like to go abroad in the current situation is not good in the Sri Lanka, right? So everyone looking for jobs in the abroad. So when you going with the abroad countries, basically in the United States, annually you can get 91,000 per year. In Canada, those are also depend on the company and the job role. But basically, you can earn for annual 55,000 by Canada. Germany is very important. When you are looking for job roles in the Germany, you need to learn. You need to know about the German language as well. That's required because lot of companies request that they need German language. Or German language you can go to the Germany, right? And United Kingdom, 49, and China, I think, don't go to China, but China, the 30, right? And Australia, 58. right? These are annual prices. My recommendation, if you like to go to the abroad, target EU countries, European countries, Singapore, and Canada also, right? And Australia also good, but now there has a lot of restrictions. So my recommendation is go to the EU countries, then you can be specialized in your field. Okay. Salary in the company. Meta and Google, they given that higher salary for a US designer. And second, Alibaba. And Apple, I can't see this screen. 1.49, I think. So those are that, mainly that given the full of the salary in the Meta, Google, Alibaba, and Apple, those kind of companies. And yeah, this will roughly get the idea about that company, how they pay for US designer. Okay, based on experience. As a UX design intern, these are related into the USA, right? No, those are related into the USA. You can earn 60,000 per internship period. And junior UX designer, 100. UX designer, 1.6. Senior UX designer, 1.39. Senior UX design manager, 1.59, right? For annually, you can earn this kind of salary. And other thing is, UI UX designer, 91. US strategies, it means the US strategy is that the job role is creating strategy for a product. 92. US writer, 1.10. US researcher, 1.8. UI UX engineer, 1.20. You can see that UX writer and the US designer earn more than US designer and US researcher, right? US strategy. It depends, but if you have that development skill, you can rate your salary, right? Or rate කරන්න පුළුවන් ආට හොඳ development skills එහෙම තියෙනවා නම්. Okay, what should you do if you want to carry in UX? First, Aushadi mentioned that how should you learn that UX, right? So you need to self-learning, because that being a UI UX engineer is 1 week, it can't be do, right? They can සතියකින් දෙකකින් UI UX කෙනෙක් වෙන්න බෑ, right? You need to learn every day, right? You at least learn one tool, Adobe XD, Miro, Figma, any kind of tools you need to learn, and learn UI UX principles and the guidelines and UX laws as well, and articles, research, and all that's. She showed that what kind of books you need to read, right? You get the fundamentals, ideas, and by you reading the books. If you don't like to read books, you can get Audible, and I saw that a lot of YouTube videos, they has that the same contents, right? You can watch, and if you would like to get the well-recognized qualifications. So if you would like to get the qualification degree, my recommendation is, if you have money, you can learn from the IDF, NNN Group, Career Foundry, and Google certification, those kind of things. I can සතියකින් දෙකකින් UI UX designer කෙනෙක් කරනවා කියලා සල්ලි දීලා කොහෙටවත් මාට්ටු වෙන්න එපා. ඒ වගේ කඩවල වලට යන්න එපා. well recognized එකකට යන්න ඔයාට හොඳ දෙයක් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Follow free courses. You can follow free courses as well, and methodologies and mentoring sessions, those kind of things, as Aushadi mentioned. So you can self-learn about that UI UX. And okay, 10 things consider before making the move. Okay, first, consider your personality, who you are. කවුද කියන එක ඉස්සෙල්ලා define කරගන්න. Second, read fundamental books and talk to people who have recently moved to the UX design, right? Recently UX designer කෙනෙක් වෙච්ච කෙනෙක්ට කතා කරන්න. මොනවද එයාලා කරන්නේ, right? Observe the company, observe the UX designer who are in the company, right? Observe the company products as well, right? මුකුත් දන්නේ නැතුව ගෙම්බෝ වගේ යන්න එපා companies වලට reject. කෙලින්ම reject, right? So observe those kind of things and master your prototype skills and get real practice experience. Okay. For freshers, you have that question, how get a real project, right? Or real project experience ganne kohomada? I know that a lot of students are doing that in the internship, that interior designer or a software engineer, that kind of job role, right? All make it fresher. එතකොට ඔයාට අර එහෙම knowledge එකක් නැත්නම් you can do some freelance project or else you can do your case studies, right? ඔයාටම කියලා case studies කරන්න පුළුවන්. Get feedback on your work, right? You can get feedback from the seniors and who are in the company and the mentoring sessions, right? You can you can join to any mentoring session and you can get the feedback and create portfolio and CV. It's very important. Create portfolio, right? Portfolio කරන්න නැතුව ඔයාට job එකක් කරන්න බෑ. It means that your work, you need to show that your projects, right? ඒ කියන්නේ CV එක දාද්දිම සමහරට reject වෙන්න පුළුවන් portfolio එකක් නැත්තම්, right? Be ready to job hunting. ඔයා මේ ඔක්කොම ready වුණාට පස්සේ job hunting එක පටන් ගන්න. Then be prepared for an interview. And okay. I add some portfolios, good portfolio to get to know how should they create their portfolio. But right now I have much time. I haven't. So I will show you that what kind of things you should need to add your portfolio. First, include memorable introduction, right? ඔයා කවුද කියන එක පොඩි information එකක් දෙන්න, but don't add the long descriptions, right? Small description, right? And highlight your works. Portfolio එකක් කියන්නේ place of your works, right? නැතු අනම්මනම් විශ්චූර්ණ නෙමෙයි. ඒ හින්දා ඔයාගේ products ඔයා highlight කරන්න ඕනේ. Case studies. In one of the case study, you need to add that what is the overview, what is the problem, how should you research, and what are the analytics, right? What kind of tool did you use, and the design, wireframing, challenges, usability testing, those kind of things need included into the user case study. Sorry, project case study, right? And if you have the good skill about the design, you can add the design. To be a UX designer, you need to add that at least 3 UX case studies, right? And demonstrate relatively show your abilities. ඔයා මොනවද learn කරේ කියන එක describe කරන්න, right? And create the user friendly format, right? So that you can use that Behance or Dribble for your portfolio, but my recommendation is create your own website, right? That's also one point for showing your creativity, right? ඒ කියන්නේ Behance ඒ වගේ ගත්තම එකම platform එකනේ. ඔයාලගේම කියලා website එකක් තිබ්බම ඔයාගේ creativity එක show කරන්න පුළුවන්. So now you have the another question. I haven't any coding knowledge. So how should I create my website? No problem. You can get that Google Portfolio, Webflow, UXfolio, Notion. You can use those kind of softwares and create your own design, right? ඔයාටම කියලා ඔයාගේම portfolio එකක් හදාගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? ඒකට coding knowledge එකක් අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. And ඔයාගේ design skills එකෙන් පෙන්නන්න. And interview. How should I be prepared for interview? First, go to the interview. Be prepared your portfolio and CV, and then check the background of the company, right? As I mentioned, you need to check that what kind of things they do, right? What kind of designers they do, right? මොන වගේ designers ලදින්න මොනවද යාලා කරන්නේ? And you need to gain background knowledge about that new trends and market, right? මොනවාද market එකේ වෙන new trends. එතකොට concept and preparing to answer common question, right? Mainly ask, tell me about yourself. Common question. What's your weaknesses, right? Those are common questions. You can be prepared for a common question. And English language. සමහරවිට මම හිතනවා I can't speak English, so how should I be a US designer? I can't be, right? No worries. English is not our mother language, right? English can be mother language එක නෙවෙයි. So don't be afraid for learn English and communicate. වරද හරි කතා කරන්න. That's fine, right? And show your portfolio and be honest and confident. බොරු කියන්න එපා interview වලදී, right? දන්නේ නැත්නම් දන්නේ නැහැ. No, I don't know, right? If they say that, can you do this one? If you don't know, if you don't like, say no. If you like, or if you like to do it, learn and do. Every day we need to learn some kind of things, right? Take your time to solve the design problem. In each of the interview, they provide some kind of problem, right? Take your time and think out of the box and they give the analytic solutions, right? And practice your open pitch. Practice current, right? And last one, myths of UI UX. First, I haven't experienced, so I can't be UI UX designer. No, not at all. You can be UI designer. Now I teach you how should you be a UI UX designer, right? You need to practice the real projects and do some case studies and revamping those kind of things. Then be a UI UX designer. I have dev knowledge, therefore I can be UI UX engineer. It's related to the mainly software engineers. So software engineer students, you need to learn about the design principle. Be a UI UX designer. Developing dannawa kiyala baha, right? I am a graphic designer. I can be UI UX designer. Like this. Graphic design and UI UX design is two different things, right? Same, some similarities have, but this is same, not is the same thing, right? There's a lot of fundamentals, laws, those kind of things you need to learn, right? I can be UI design within the week. No. දවසින් දෙකකින් වෙන්න බෑ, right? Still we also learning, right? අපිත් තාම learn කරනවා. දවසින් දෙකකින් ඔය කරන කඩවල වලටවත් යන්න එපා. එහෙම වෙන්න බෑ, right? Your design also like a graphic design and easy to do. No, it's not easy. You need to do a lot of practical things. You always engage with the user, right? User pain points and needs always changing, right? It's not easy. US research is not easy. It's really hard, right? Not limited jobs. There's a lot of jobs. So UX is only design? No. US research is easy? No. US design all about the user? Nah. Because you need to consider about the brand, market, and the customers, all things, right? Not even that end user, right? And usability testing is optional. Pro. Usability testing නැති වුණ මොකද වෙන්නේ? Product එක lost. That's the Oshadi mentioned, right? So you need to learn all things. And other things, so software engineer students, they think that I haven't a good GPA, so I can be a QA engineer, UI UX engineer. No. You need to bring and design skills as well, right? GPA එක නැති හින්දා කියලා එන්න එපා. And creativity also. Some students think that I haven't creativity, so I can't be a UX designer. No, you can gain your creativity skills. Get the inspiration from the designs and practice it, right? Right. Those are the things. So if you have a questions, now open to answer it. ප්‍රශ්න නැද්ද? දැන් හොඳයි. US designer කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Good, nice. Right? Questions තියෙනවා නම් කියන්න පස්සේ එන්න එපා ඉන්ටර්විව් එකේදී. අනේ මට අරක බෑ මේක බෑ ඒක තේරුන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් අහන්න ඕන දෙයක් දැන් උත්තර දෙනවා, right? Oh yes, in the lunchtime you can contact me for if you have any question you can contact me. Thank you for listening.
Yet again, what an enlightening and even more so inspiring session. I'm sure that all of our participants gained so much important and essential information about pursuing their dreams in the UI UX. So, Ms. Harshini, thank you so much for that delightful session. Everyone, once again, let's give a huge round of applause to Ms. Harshini Gajanayakar. Now, after gaining much insight into the field, everyone must be curious about how the UX process works and what are the techniques, methodologies used in the UX design. Without taking much time, let us move towards the end of the morning session. And as our final speaker, we have Ms. Sujita Niroshan, the Senior UX Lead in Dialog Axiata PLC, to address the gathering about the US design process.
Hello everyone. Hope you all are doing good after 2 sessions, bored or still curious what I'm going to say. So I see some familiar faces as well as very new faces as well. So let's move on. Before we move on to the topic, okay, interesting. Okay, there you see. Before we move on to the session, a little bit about myself. I'm currently working as a senior UX lead at Dialogue, part of the corporate planning and strategy team. Before moving into UX, I was managing digital products here in Sri Lanka and abroad as well. Kind of have, at the moment, 12 plus years in the tech and telco industry. So let's look at what am I doing right now at Dialogue. So at the moment at Dialogue, I'm managing the overall experience of the digital partners, or rather retail partners to be specific. Before even we started, okay, let's start doing UX, what something we have considered doing it is building up UX career within the organization, cross-functional teams, educating the cross-functional team, because UX is where you need collaboration from rest of the other teams as well, legal, marketing, finance, business teams. So that is something mainly we focus on, building the culture among cross-functional teams. And then something probably might interest y'all. I'm running the internship program at Dialogue, so if you all are interested in doing an internship, you can reach me out on LinkedIn. Internship program is for undergraduates, as well as if you have still completed but still haven't done a undergraduate or internship program, you can join in for UX internship at Dialogue as well. Moving on to the topic. So, UX process, give me a hands up. Okay, today you have still learned a little bit of UX process already. Sort of understood something, you still need clarity. Give me a hands up, all good, or did you learn something in UX process so far? Or no? Or you don't want to respond, is it? Okay, cool. So there's no right or wrong way of answering, even if you Google on, okay, that's something we do for everything, get so much. But is it all right or is it all wrong? There's no right or wrong way of doing UX process. But it all depends on the business you're going to work for. Business to business it will be different. And also it will be different, even in the same company, product to product, you will be following different UX process as well. So that is something for you all to remember. And then if somebody is doing a UX process already, it doesn't mean you cannot change, or you cannot give inputs, or you cannot, it doesn't mean that way. You can always input and then change things as well. So move on to the topic on its own. UX has a process, so that is good for you. So by now you have learned that. So following a process will give you an outcome. You cross. During COVID, I'm sure many of you all have looked at a sanitizer bottle, but I'm not sure whether this image is very much visible over here. So if you see, the sanitizer bottle is on the other side of the glass, that's where you press the bottle. So what is the problem here? Anyone coming to look, wanted to get for sanitizer, the company be like, no, you're not getting it, we are going to save it. So if they have done a simple user testing, simple thinking about how this experience is going to work out, they're not going to make this mistake, right? So that happens, and usability issue will happen there. One of the other example, I'm not sure some of you all have come across, it's an experience issue. You get to some place and then you're like, oh, do I really want to go there to get my job done? So this is some of the reasons not following a process. So if you had tested with a couple of users, or if you had thought through the person you are going to give this to, then you would have not ended up here. So that's tell you where. So all of this usability issue, experience issue, where are we going? We all know this is about people, but where are we going with the people here? We are going every single product or solution, everything we put out there, we are talking about people's emotion. Whether you want to make them happy or you still want to make them sad by your design, but you're still talking about their feelings, what they will experience, their emotions. And then that's what business needs. That is the bottom line of the business. Anything you do, you focus on the experience. And then the emotions is what business is looking for eventually. So that's done now that we have looked at why you have to do and what will happen if you don't follow a process. Let's look at moving on to the process itself. So there are a few steps. I'm going to put you through a couple of steps you can follow, but then again, like I said to you before, this is not the right or wrong way of answer, but this will give you a guideline or an outline for you to follow a process. And then maybe anyone who is participating for the evening challenge, for you all to remember some of those deliverables from the challenges. Looking at the UX process or knowing the process will help you deliver those challenges as well. So let's move on. The first step would be research and discovery, where you will gather a lot of information about the users. Then moving on to analyzing those. Foundation of design, visual design, and validation. Like everybody else is mentioning, validation is something to remember. So let's look at how do you do user research. Before even you start on doing the user research, or before even you're thinking, this is like sharpening your axe, getting your basics right, getting your process ready, getting it right about your user or what problem you're going to try to solve. So this is your axe to get to know your users. So at the research stage, you are going to look at things like users, product requirement, of course, mainly your competitor, who you are going to compete with. Let's look at one by one, probably. So how do you get to know your users? You can do a technique where you interview the users, talk to them, observe your users, empathize with them, get to the place, mainly get to the place where they are experiencing. For example, if I tell you, if you're developing or if you're coming up with the product for somebody watching a TV or a TV app, then you should observe them while they are watching the TV. How do they interact with the TV? How do they watch TV? Do they watch it with the family? How things goes. So interviewing them will help you understand them, empathize them, what are their feelings, probably figure out what sort of problems we have, like the example, spectacles problem, when she was talking to each of you, observing them. We were rather, instead of talking to you, we were actually observing you all, right? How do you remove your specs? So observing the people. Sometimes people don't tell you what they actually do. They ended up telling you to impress, okay, this is what I do, or this is what I want, but then they end up doing something else instead. So observing the people, what they do, give them, and then observe them. That is something crucial here, and then that's how you empathize with them and understand them more than just talking to them instead. But then talking to them furthermore, you can ask, say, you are removing the spectacles. Why did you do that? Is that what you do all the time? Things like that you can figure out. I'm taking up everybody's example here. All right. And survey is something you can do at the initial stage of it, where you can put out to a mass market you're looking for. Then you can do surveys as well. That will give you good insight about a lot of the people. If you want to say, now you have university students here, and then I put out a survey, then understand them very quickly. That will give me a lot of results about mass market. But then I would always recommend you all to talk to the end users, talk to the people, not just end users, talk to other people as well, to figure out. You never know what you might end up. Sometimes you're looking for something, but interestingly, you will find some other things as well. So that will help you as well. There you go. Then moving on to the product requirement. If you're working in a company where you will have stakeholders, so that's the time you will be doing product requirement. But if you're doing something on your own also, you have to come up with some sort of product requirement as well. How do you do those? You can conduct requirement gathering or